Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. My name is Ken Burhan. I'm Assistant Dean for Engagement and Outreach here at University Libraries. Thanks for joining us today for another edition of Kent Reads. Today we have the authors of Mission 31 Vitality. This book outlines a 31-day regimen that will transform your perspective on life. It will share an inspirational and uplifting regimen that will help improve your mood, thoughts, body, and behavior. I'm happy to have all four authors with us today. They are Dr. Kayla Griffin, who holds a bachelor's in communication studies and a Juris Doctorate. She's currently a law clerk at the Cleveland Municipal Court, and she's awaiting her bar exam results. Toni Pickens Green has a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in rehabilitation counseling and mental health. She's a counselor and assistant professor at Cuyahoga Community College. Talicia Cooper, who holds a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in post-secondary education, and she's an advocate counselor at the Urban League of Cleveland. And Chinna Parker, who is attending University of Cincinnati as an English major and is office manager at Brewer Garrett. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Toni Pickens Green up to get us started. Welcome.
It's a balance, huh? Are we good? Okay, so I want to welcome you guys and thank you for taking the time out to join us today. Obviously, you saw something that you thought may enlighten you about this talk, and we're grateful for that. Or maybe a couple of you are here for extra credit, I'm not sure, but either way, thanks for joining us. You know, you could have been anywhere during this hour, and you chose to be with us today. So we want to try to make it worth your while, which is why I have notes, and these notes are also here to make sure that I don't stay up here the entire hour, because I can just begin to talk and share. So much is required of you as a college student. You have lots of demands. You know, you have academic demands, and you're balancing your financial responsibilities. You're developing new personal and moral standards at this time in your life. It's just all a part of this season. And that's what we came to address today. We also came to hear from you. So at the end of this talk, after all of the authors have shared, we want to open it up for conversation and dialogue, if that's okay with you. So I hope no one is shy. So again, like I was saying, we want to, first share our experiences and then, hear what kind of issues are pertinent in your life today. And speaking of life and college life, this season of your life is totally unforgettable. You'll never forget this time in your life. You're forming major relationships. You're making major decisions that, shape the future of the direction that you're going in. So you're deciding upon the fate of your future, and you're building that right now. You may be faced with financial challenges as you learn how to manage your money during this time. And, that kind of season may change. It may become different. So even though you are trying to learn how to manage your money and you're faced with these things now, that doesn't mean that you won't be faced with those issues as an adult as well, but you're building and you're learning. You're solidifying political and social views right now during this time in your life, and you're forming significant lifelong relationships right here. Some relationships and friendships that you're forming right here during this time in your life you will always have. So that's very significant. You may even face some of the biggest heartbreaks that you'll ever experience right here during this season in your life. And it all comes together to shape the person that you are and the person that you will be. So how you conduct yourself during this time can and will either make or break your destiny. All of these experiences that you have right now will affect your outlook, your perception, and subsequently your behaviors, how you choose to deal with things. And so during this season, I would urge you to guard your hearts. And guarding your heart, matters of the heart don't always mean romantic relationships. So that's not necessarily what I mean. Your heart is affected when you feel like maybe an instructor or a professor or an administrator doesn't understand you, or you may feel like you haven't been given a fair grade. Your heart is affected when you're not sure how you're going to pay tuition the next semester. That worries you, that affects your heart as well. Your heart is affected when you decide upon a major and you're not quite sure if that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing with your life. Or you know that that is what you're supposed to be doing in your life, but you don't know if it can afford you the type of lifestyle that you've mapped out for yourself. So all of those issues affect your heart, and that's why it's very important to take the time to pour back into yourself. Take that time to maybe meditate and get back to yourself and take a break from social media, things like that, so that you know exactly where you are and that your head and your heart are at least in the same vicinity. I encourage you, along with the other ladies, to be unapologetically choosy about who you spend your time with. And I mean platonic and romantic relationships. So, anybody that you spend your time with. And why? Well, because energy is contagious. Energy is transferable. One of the points out of the 31-day regimen in the book talks about how much we're influenced by the people that we spend our time with. And you may never recognize it on the surface because there are subtle things that you exchange with family or friends or people that you're in a relationship with that either build you up or they discourage you. So think about, right now, actually think about the people that you spend the most of your time with. Picture their faces, say their names to yourself, and ask yourself these questions. Do they encourage you? Do they build you up? Do they compliment you? Do they challenge you? Or do they pull you down? Do you get this feeling that they may doubt your goals or your dreams or your abilities? Do you have the suspicion that they may gossip about you behind your back? Do you find yourself doing things that you aren't necessarily comfortable with often with these people? And this theory may seem really simple and obvious, but you'd be surprised at, how often we all may look up and say, goodness gracious, this person is really pulling on my energy. This is not good for me right now. I'm going to need to take a break from this atmosphere or this person. And so that is included in the 31-day regimen. And also considering the people that we spend our time with, it can really change the trajectory of your life, either positively or negatively, depending on who you allow into your circle and who is influencing you. And this goes for, no matter what your age, whether you're a student, whether you're faculty, staff, or administration, this, theory can be applied to all of us. And then in this day and age, we have social media. So it's not just the people that you let physically into your space, but social media has become a huge influence. And, if we're real about it, hopefully we realize that the image that is projected in social media isn't always congruent with reality. You can create whomever and whatever you want through social media, but since it's such a big part of our lives, we're always connecting with social media, it's a huge influence on us. And really, when you think about it, you can equate it to celebrities in the media and photos, how photos are photoshopped. You know, they stretch the neck a little longer, they cinch the waist, they elongate the legs, they add hair, they, you know, blot out images, and that is what social media has done, basically. Everyone is presenting their photoshopped selves, and it could eventually contribute to self-doubt. You're thinking, man, they're living a pretty glamorous life. Life is really fun for them, or it appears to be that way. And then it affects the way that you look at yourself and your personal progress. So that's another point in the book within the 31-day regimen. I keep trying to shorten it a day, is that you take a break from social media. So you want to look at who you're spending your time with, what kind of energy are they carrying with them? Are they, you know, a negative Nancy or a positive Patty, for example? And then taking a break from that social media so that, you know, these images don't bombard you and cause you to have a skewed image of yourself or the world around you. So the only person that you're competing with, by the way, is yourself, right? You want to be better than the person that you were yesterday. You want to challenge yourself to do better. We all have deadlines. We all have goals. We all have personal objectives that we're trying to meet. And that's what we want to remain connected with, is the person that we were yesterday and being better than him, being better than her, than she was. I can go on and on, but again, we only have an hour, so there are some wonderful things that the other phenomenal women have to share with you. So, as mentioned earlier, Mission 31 Vitality is a book that we did co-author together. It was the project that brought us together, and but it won't be the last project that we produce as a group, because we are very fortunate to have a wonderful chemistry. And the common thread that links the four of us is that we serve people. We have made it our life's work to serve people. So professionally, we all serve people in some kind of capacity, and so that links us together. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome Miss Chinna Parker up so that she can share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Here you are. Hello, my name is Chinna Parker. Look, I'm excited to be on campus. My brother actually graduated from Kent years ago. Just starting off to introduce me, I'm a lover of life. I was kind of a free spirit. My parents said, go to school. I lived in Akron, went to Akron U, and just kept doing the same things I was doing. It wasn't until I left Akron U and went down to Cincinnati that I began to tap into me, you know, and learn about me and do things, explore myself for the first time. Because a lot of times you're around your family, your friends, you're in a controlled environment. So you do the same rituals and the same routine and the same things that you've always done. So I went away, made many mistakes, bumped my head, learned the hard way with a lot of things, but I had a lot of fun because I pursued different things that was in my heart. Oh, I love writing poems. I'm going to be a poet. Oh, I love to, whatever it is I thought to do, I just put my heart in it, and at that time in my life, pursued it with a passion. But what I want to talk to you more so today about is packaging. Now, we all, you know, who is the person, have someone in your mind that you talk to the most, that you share your little secrets with, or you vent, you know, you having a day, who you can vent with or share your joys with? Who do you talk to the most? Now, you may be thinking of a person, but if I tell you the absolute truth, the person you talk to the most is you. The most intimate conversations you have is with yourself. You're constantly thinking. You're thinking and have inward chatter probably right now. Like, she's so little, she's so sweet. I'm just playing. I'm into health and fitness, but You know, you're having inward dialogue with yourself all the time, and you do it even more than you eat, even more than you conversate with others. It's always going on. But thoughts are seeds, they're ideas. Before you do an action, you've thought of it. So it's kind of a cause and effect. The thought is, you know, the cause, and the circumstances or action is the effect that you have. Now, with your inward dialect, sometimes it becomes habitual. You think as you've always thought, or as your group of friends think, your peers, or in particular your family that you come from. If they have certain views on this or that, then, you know, you kind of take those as your own personal truths. We all have personal truths. Like your favorite color may be yellow. That's your personal truth. You know, it's just, you know, we all have them. We all prefer different things. We all like different things. But with your personal truth, there's things that, like at this season, what I guess I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to step outside of that box and be a little bit on your Dora the Explorer, is what I like to call it, and do things that maybe deep down in your heart you're passionate about and you desire, but it's just like, well, what are they going to say? Or what are they going to think? Or am I really that good? Or is my writing really that good? Is my singing really that good? Is my, you know, those questions that you have about yourself because you see someone else doing it. But if it's a little inclination inside that's saying, maybe this. You know, I started school, a lot of people with one major, and you've been to grow and develop as a person, and you end up with another. But don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to move. We're not trees. We're not stuck. We can get up. We can walk. We can run. We can fly. We can travel. We can see. Enjoy life. Pursue that passion. And I have a little example about fear and faith that I want to use. And I had to kind of internalize this within myself. I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but it's a story about a man who was extremely afraid of snakes. That was his worst fear. And so his next door neighbor moves in, and the guy has snakes. He keeps them in, you know, the cases, but this guy has all these snakes, and the guy will come outside sometimes and have his snake on his arm, and the gentleman was deathly afraid. So one day he goes outside into his very own yard and sees what appears to be a serpent, and he's afraid. And when you feel that fear, your heart just stops, and it's just, he was paralyzed. He couldn't move. And he yells, "Ah, it's a snake!" So his wife comes running out, and she looks at the snake, and she looks at him. She goes, she picks the snake up and throws it across the yard. And as a man, you know, men, for the most part, I would say, like to feel masculine and whatnot. You don't want your wife to kind of punk you and say, oh, you know, you picked up the snake that I am afraid of. But what he realized with her picking up the snake and throwing it, that it wasn't a snake. It was actually a stick in the yard that was coiled up. But the stick shook him. It froze him. It paralyzed him. And that's how fear is with you. So with the things that you're desiring in your heart, ask yourself, is this a snake? Is this something I should really be afraid of? Or is this just a stick? Is this something that I could pick up and move out of my way and keep on walking across my yard just as easily as the wife did? And before I go, I just wanted to give one more. I love doing examples because I'm a visual person. I'm visual. I see things. But I used to watch a movie growing up all the time. Love this movie. Many of you have probably seen it. It was my favorite movie. It was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I wanted to go to the Chocolate Factory. And I'm talking about the first version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the colorful one. And in that movie, I recently watched that movie with my daughter. And I've seen that movie over and over and over again for years. And so many of the things that he would say, you know, Willy Wonka was a little weird, but so many of the things that he would say never really stood out to me in my childhood years. But I watched it with my daughter, and I sat back and was like, wow, there was so much revelation and inspiration in that movie. I mean, I saw that movie and it inspired something within me. You know, I don't know if you remember the young lady. She had the attitude, and her dad gave her everything she wanted. She was snotty and stuck up, and, you know, she was like, he said, you know, lick the wall and taste the wallpaper. And he was like, you know, there's strawberries, blueberries, and snozberries. And she said, there's no such thing as snozberries. And he looks at her, and he looks her in her eye, and he said, we are the music makers. We are the dreamers of the dreams. Saying that if you want to create a snozberry and have your own flavor, be a snozberry. Tell people you're a snozberry and show the world what a snozberry is. So I want to leave you with that. Imagine, pursue your passion, pursue your dream, and ask yourself, is this a snake or is it just a stick? Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
And this is Miss Kayla Griffin.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. So I'm really excited to be here because this is my alma mater, and I walked on campus and I was just blown away by all of the changes that has been made. I graduated in 2010, so there has been a lot happening on the campus, and I'm just excited to be here. As was introduced, my name is Kayla Griffin. I am a Juris Doctorate from Cleveland Marshall College of Law, and I graduated from this here campus with my communications degree, and I minored in political science and Pan-African studies. Long and short end of it. I love people. I love people, and I love to give back to people. But my way of contribution is trying to help people understand their purpose and what they're here for. Why is that important? It's so super important for us to know why we are here so that we can leave those seeds in the earth and around us so that other people can feel like if they can do it, I can do it. They've been an inspiration to me. So I've had so many seeds planted. Seeds here while I was at Kent. While Toni was talking, she said this was one of the most important times of our lives. And for me, it was. I call them my sisters, my best friends. I gained right here. Those are seeds and inspirations that I have even now. Those women, we have been in each other's weddings. We have gone on vacations with each other. We have cried with each other. And we've inspired one another. So, our book, Mission 31 Vitality, we really aim to talk about purpose and balance in life. And one thing that we tend to forget from young to old is striking that balance and having time for ourselves. There are key points in the book that help us to remember, I need to take time for myself. I need to cultivate the seed that is within me. So, meditation, cutting things off. I just had an experience last week where I powered down all of my social media, turned off the TV, because life can be a little overwhelming and it can get a little depressing at times. You watch the news and you see all that's going on, and it kind of overwhelms you. And then you get caught up in what's going on in your own lives, and you look at the bills, and you look at family dynamics, and you look at things that you have no control over, and we tend to get overwhelmed. But balance allows you an opportunity to step back and remember what's important for you. Remember why you do what you do. There are so many different avenues and so many different roads that we can take, but we have to know where we're going. One of the things that someone said to me last week, I'm in the midst of interviewing. As stated, I am awaiting bar results for the Ohio bar exam. And I'm doing interviews right now, and I told somebody, I never thought I would be a practicing attorney. Well, what do you mean? You always knew you wanted to go to law school. I always knew I wanted to make a change when it came to the legal department, legal aspect of our nation. But I didn't know that being a lawyer would do it. I figured prevention was my key. I was going to make a difference and help juveniles in prevention, and that's how I was going to do it. I recently went on a couple interviews last week, and someone was surprised that I was interviewing for a prosecutor's position. It was like, I could not see you as a prosecutor. And I explained to them that I would, if I was offered the opportunity to work for them, I'd be working for the Child and Family Services. This is an opportunity for me to contribute and do what I have always wanted to do as far as my purpose. I always wanted to help young people. I always wanted to impact families and lives of families. So why not think outside of the box now? You know, I have a law degree, but think outside of the box. One of the things that our book is, it's an outside of the box experience. It allows you to really take a step back and look at things from different perspectives. You have so many different perspectives in just one book that allows you to see this is the big picture, but there are many different ways to get there. I want to remind you, keep in mind your big picture, but don't be deterred if you have to take another avenue. Don't be deterred if you have to go a different route, because as long as you get there, that's all that matters. The journey it's a time for us to become self-aware. It's a time for us to be in touch with those who are around us. It is a time for us to cultivate those relationships that were talked about, and a time for us to realize who we are. And sometimes that means taking a step back and not doing what the norm is, not doing what everyone else says. I absolutely loved the point that Toni made when she said, we are not in competition with one another, but just in competition with the person who we were yesterday. Every time I wake up in the morning, I remind myself, you have to be better and greater than you were yesterday. You have to do more than you did yesterday. You have to impact more than you did yesterday. And it keeps me going because I never have to look outside of myself to see who's doing what or how they're doing it or how they got there. It's about me and my self-journey. It's about you and your self-journey. And self-journey never stops just because you've landed that good job or because you have the family or you have the fiance and you're about to get married. Self-journey never stops. Self-awareness never stops. And that's the beauty of this life that we live. That's the beauty of the walk that we have, because we continue to change, and I continue to grow, and you continue to grow, and you're not who you were yesterday, and you're not who you were 4 years ago. I know that the woman that I am now is a testament to who I was in Kent and the seeds that were planted to me while I was here in Kent, but I've evolved, and that's what the beauty of our book is. It's about evolution. It's about growth, and it's about change. And I'm so excited to be able to share with you. And at the end of this, once my sister Talicia comes up, we'll open up the floor and see what is going on in you guys' lives. See what are the things that you guys are dealing with and what you're excited about and what you're looking forward to. So with no further ado, last but certainly not least, I bring to the stage Talicia Cooper.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, everybody. How y'all doing today? We doing okay? It's a little quiet, and I'm really loud, but I'm gonna tone it down because we in the library. So I want to say thank you for having me. Like she said, my name is Talicia Cooper, and this is a great opportunity for me, and I am always speaking to adolescents. So I work with the youth, and I work with juveniles as well as, just younger adults trying to find their way. So to see some adults in the crowd is like, oh, I think I might need to change my strategy, but we're just going to talk a little bit. And as everybody gave some great advice and some things, so what I want to do is just kind of think back to when I was in school, and you kind of feel like you've grown and you're doing some grown folks things and you're making some heavy decisions, but you realize that there's some things that you really don't want to do, but you have to do it. So what I'm going to talk about is, just doing what you have to do before you do what you want to do. Because when you do what you have to do, later on you're going to be able to do some things that everybody else is not doing. So I went to school and I left, and you get out and you're on your own. Really, there's no one there to support you. There's no one there to wake you up in the morning. There's no one there to say do your homework. So you kind of just linger around. You do what you want to do, and then there's something that hits you that makes you want to try harder or drive harder. So I would just say to expose yourself to all the different things that's going to make you grow as a person. Being away, don't go home. Stay away for a while so that you can see who you really are on the inside, because when you take away that support, it allows you to become a stronger and better you, and you'll become self-sufficient. And that's a journey within itself. Being self-sufficient will help you organize your life, because you will want to get to the point where you can only lean and depend on self, which will require for you not to have so much to call on everyone else. Because, if you always the one on somebody at the other end of somebody's phone wanting something, eventually they're going to stop answering. So, but you want to be a leader, and a part of being a leader is, number one, you have to lead yourself. And that's one of the things that I always talk to my youth about is you have to, number one, lead yourself. And we always want to help other people and help others, but you can't help anyone else if you're not on a solid foundation yourself. So you want to lead yourself, and don't be afraid to tap into some of these entities around here, as far as, your instructors, your counselors. I went into post-secondary education because so many people in my college helped me when I was around, and just sowing good seeds into me, showing me different ways, and just talking to me. And sometimes we get in that mode where we don't want to listen, because we like, oh, I'm gonna make my own mistakes. But I've learned that if you fell in that hole and broke your leg, I don't really want to do that. So if you could tell me how to get around that hole, that's great, that's awesome. I'll take that route, and I'll get there faster than you did. And thank you, by the way. So don't be afraid to tap into your instructors. Play devil's advocate, pick their brain, pull from them what you can. They are here for a reason. And I know sometimes they give you that, well, I got my degree, and you don't really want to hear that. But it's an eye opener. It will wake you up, and you're like, you know what, you're right. How did you get your degree? What did you do? How did you pass that class? What route did you take? How was that for you? Pick their brain, and I call it pruning. I kind of prune from people. They say watch your surroundings and everybody you're around, but if you prune from them the good things and you can leave them with the waste, then you're doing okay. So it's just like a good meal. You tell your server, I really don't like tomatoes, but they bring you that salad with the tomatoes, but you're hungry, so you don't want to send your salad back. You kind of pick around the tomatoes. It's the same thing with the people around you. Prune from them what you need from them and leave the waste. So I don't want to talk too much, because I like to, walk around, and they got me stable, so I'm out of my element right now. And I want to hear from the audience, and maybe you guys have some questions. How many people are actually students? Okay. Are you enjoying your college? We got what, freshmen, seniors, sophomores? Senior. Oh, so you like, I'm out of here. Everybody else seniors also? Junior. So you, okay. How many times have you changed your major? I changed my major like 5 times. Every time I thought I had it, they was like, you kind of got to have a bachelor's to do that, or you got to have a master's to do that, or yeah, you kind of took the wrong classes for that. So don't get distracted. You are here to find yourself. It's an expensive way to do it. I learned my lesson. I actually went off to college in 2001, and at first I was ashamed, but now I'm not. I didn't graduate till 2007. I completed 3 different programs before I actually crossed the stage. And like, I went to my counselor and she was like, you have enough credits to graduate today. Now, what are you going to do? So it was like I kind of fell into graduation. I was like, well, okay, well, I guess I'll just graduate. So I've changed my major to psychology at the time because those were all the classes that I had A's in. And I'm like, well, that's for me because I just get A's in those classes, you know. And then I have taken so many health classes and so many science classes, they made me a minor, which was a health science minor. So, and then I crossed the stage, you know, and I went on from there and I get my master's. And what happened was I was working and I was like, you know what? I want to go back to being a kid again. This is crazy. All I do is work and pay bills. And I got injured at work and I was not doing anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get my master's. But I was like, I hear it's hard. I probably can't do it. I'll just fail out. And I went and I got a counselor who challenged me, gave me the very hardest class there was. And a lot of people who were graduating had taken that class 2 or 3 times. I was upset with him. And I was like, okay. I told my mama, he tried to play me, you know. And I took the class and I got an A the very first time. And I finished my master's up within a year. And he sat me down and told me, you said that you were going to fail out, and you finished faster than anybody I've seen. And I got my master's in post-secondary education. I took 18 extra credit hours so I could have a concentration in psychology again, because I got A's in those classes, right? And I needed that GPA. I was like, oh, my God, you got to have a 3 point what, a 5? And that was my goal. So don't be scared of the change, take in different directions. And if you feel like you're just not doing it right, what I do is I'll practice in small goals. Like right now I'm on a 10-day goal, and it just helps me stay disciplined. I try something for 10 days. If I do good, then I push forward for 10 more days. And that's the thing with the book. It takes 31 days to break a habit. So if you can have those small goals to push to those 31 days, then you've broken that habit and you've changed yourself and you've made something better about you, whether it's just from I won't eat but 1 piece of chocolate a day to I'm going to change my major and make it work. And I'm done. Any questions? You ladies want to come back up? How are we going to? So I talk real fast when I'm nervous. I hope y'all got that. Was I going real fast?
No, it was good. It was
Okay.
very good.
Go ahead and take that.
We want to make sure that you guys can hear us in the room and that our voices are being properly recorded for the video as well. Thank you so much. The points that the women have made today, you know, I become inspired when we do events like this. I feel just as excited as an audience member as I do a speaker. I love listening to these women, and I love their energy and the inspiration that they share. There was an example that Dr. Griffin gave when she talked about the mistakes that you make along the way, and it's okay. I think we all made a point to say that at some point during our talk. When I teach my students at Tri-C, I create a very strict regimen for my class. I'm just, you know, I'm kind of type A like that. I need a very strict class schedule and a curriculum, but I'm also, like my sister Chinna, a free spirit at the same time. I think maybe I have 2 personalities, but I make my regimen very structured so that I can be spontaneous while I'm teaching class. And so I would encourage you guys to do that as well. Have a very specific plan to get to your goal. But if you make a mistake, if you veer off the road sometimes, just know that it's okay. Know that it may be a part of the process. How many of you have heard the term being in the moment? We need to practice that more and more nowadays. Enjoying the moment, not pondering over the past, not, you know, building anxiety about the future, but enjoying the very moment that we're in right now. So you want to be very structured, because if you have, for example, a GPS, you want that GPS to give you specific directions, right? Or you won't get there. But how many of you have been led off the road by your GPS before and ended up very frustrated? Yes, I'm a part of that group as well. But sometimes when I think about when the GPS led me off the road, I ended up seeing a beautiful lake off to my right, or I went down a street with these gorgeous mansions with this beautiful landscaping, and You know, when you veer off the road, you have to consider maybe this is also a part of the process. And maybe I can gain some inspiration. It'll take me an extra 5 or 6 minutes to get to my eventual destination, but I gained inspiration along the way. So like my senior up front said, he's changed his major a billion times. I'm sure he's gained some inspiration and some lessons that he may not have learned otherwise. So I would encourage you guys to stay free-spirited, but still have that regimen close to you at the same time. Thank you. I'd like to invite Dr. Griffin.
What's your final major?
History.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I'm just humbled to be here. I'm humbled beyond words, and I would love to just be able to shake you guys' hand, tell you thank you for coming out. If there are any questions, comments, or anything, yes.
What brought the four of you together? Was it serendipity or was it planned? Was it the GPS?
You want to talk? You want to answer?
Okay.
Chinna.
Okay, this is a great story because the lady that introduced us and had the original, I forgot about this, Mike. The young lady that introduced us and had the original idea for the book had no idea what she was really, saying or putting together, because once we met and hung out, we just jailed. But the book was already an idea, and we were all introduced to one another. We met each other. Well, I met everyone as a co-author to a book. We met through a young lady named Naya Whitsitt, and she just loved different things about our personalities. And once we came together and was in a room, it was magical. It was just like, I feel like I know you from somewhere. I don't know where.
Oh, serendipity as well.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you guys mentioned earlier about being selective about who you let in and who you take in close to you. I was wondering what your advice would be when you are out in the world and there's people that they might be your neighbor, they might be your coworker, they might be somebody at your church, the person across the hall that you're not clicking with, but you can't really avoid.
The question was, I mentioned earlier, pardon me? I mentioned earlier how we need to keep close tabs on who we allow into our personal spaces because they affect our energy. Energy is contagious, and the question in the back of the room was, how do we manage that with the people that we can't get away from, like someone in a church or a neighbor, or even a spouse or our children, because that happens. And so what I would recommend is, first off, we teach people how to treat us. Even those people that are closest to us, our children, our spouses, our siblings, our family members, and then extended our neighbors. So if you spend that time in meditation that we all recommended, you get a clear picture of who you are, and you have a clear picture of what you desire and how you desire to be treated. And so by spoken and unspoken communication, we teach people how to treat us. I have a 7-year-old, and so I practice this with him as well, because he's at a fun age. Every age is fun with him. But there are times when they can get a little crazy. They can get very energetic. He's a 7-year-old boy. He's jumping off the couch. He's trying, all these new experiments. And so you have to communicate in spoken and unspoken ways with those people that we can't necessarily get away from. This is my boundary. You've crossed it. Let's reevaluate here. And it takes practice. It may not, come out as gracefully the first time around as you desire, but with practice and with constant meditation with who you are and where you want to be and how you want to be treated, it becomes an art. And those people that we can't get away from, they learn how to treat us.
Can I add it too?
Absolutely.
I love this. Someone sent me a affirmation, and I put it in my calendar to say it every morning for the next year. And I've gotten to a place where I can recite it verbatim. But the affirmation says, "Change is the parent to progress. Be intentional about everything that you do this year, and set your standards high, never lowering it for anyone. If they do not come up to your standards, then they forfeit the right to be a part of your life."
Wonderful.
Change is the parent to progress. So we have to change how we allow people to treat us. I love what my sister Toni said. We have to know what we want and what we desire first and foremost. And then when we change within ourselves, then other people will recognize that change, and it will be more palatable in order to manage.
Very good.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I'd just like to comment that I enjoyed the program. Four of you have presented, but it's so well consistent and so well coherent that I felt that it's delivered by one presenter.
Thank you.
That's how it's supposed to be. Thank you.
I like the idea that our competition is ourselves, constantly to be better, to grow greater and reach higher. So thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Any others? Well, with no further ado, we'd like to introduce ourselves to you personally and shake you guys' hand. This program, are we turning it back into your hands?
I think your plan is to
Wonderful. Well, if you are interested, we do have books for sale. The books are $15, so we all have brought a few books of our own so that you can come and see us and we can make those out, sign them for you and everything like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.